So the first concealer we have is the Insight Pro Concealer. I am in the shade MN20. I have used this fairly a lot. Now this is a full coverage concealer. The doe foot applicator is also very thick. One thing I would really recommend you is to immediately go ahead and just blend it out, because this is a very quickly drying concealer. First time मैंने जब लगाया था, applied it here, and then I was blending here and this got dried up. So it dries up so freaking quickly. So if you don't want that, and even if you are like blending this out and if you feel like कि वो बहुत dry हो गया है quickly, you can just spray setting spray on a beauty blender. Just wet it out a little bit and just blend it in that way. Now I have applied quite little, but you can still see from the difference. It does conceal everything perfectly. Now I definitely feel like this is a great affordable version of the L'Oreal Infallible Concealer. So this is the Insight HD Concealer reviewed for you. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the second concealer which we have is the Cuffs and Lashes Spot Concealer. This is the packaging of it and this is how it looks. Now I am in the shade 04. This is not too warm for my tone. I usually like to go with a warm toned shade. So the best way I feel like to apply this is to take a brush like this. Is the concealer brush from Pac X Sara. I'm just gonna go ahead, take a very little, you literally need the least amount, and I'm going to just dab it. And as you can literally see over here कि ये highlight हो रहा है. So again, this is a thicker formula. It is not liquidy, it is not creamy, so it is like a pot consistency. It is in a pot format, so it's very thick. So if you do not like thick consistency of concealers, if you have extremely dry skin, you really need to moisturize your skin really well. I've moisturized my skin and prepped my skin for this. So it may look a little bit drying than the usual liquid concealers because of the consistency of this. Now here you can see it is buildable. I took very little and I applied it, and as you can see it has concealed my under eyes, but not too much. Right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a beauty blender, just do dip like this and then blend it like so, and as you can see it does give you a great highlighting effect. Now since for this video I am not doing any color correction on my under eyes, so you can see the concealer for how it is. Now as you can see it has concealed my under eyes flawlessly. You do not need a lot, which is something which I like about this concealer. I want to make the best out of this. I would go ahead color correct first and then apply this. Since this is not in a warm toned shade, I usually prefer warm tone shades. So if you do the same, feel the same, then go ahead and color correct first. And that is the Cuffs and Lashes Pot Concealer for you. So the next concealer we have is the Swiss Beauty Concealer. This is in the shade 03 Light Moyenne. Now the shades available in this are a bit weird because the darkest shade is number 1 and the lightest shade is number 6. Also being said that I bought like 3 of these concealers just to see which fits my under eyes, and as you know that I like to prefer have like a warm toned shade for my under eyes. None of them have like a tint of warm toned concealer, so that was disappointing. But I am so sorry for the traffic noise, but out of the shades which I got, I feel like the number 3 is the optimum one. Now it is slight yellow in color. The consistency of this is extremely liquidy, so you can also take a brush and just pat it in. Talking about the formulation, it is a really good concealer, but there are just so less shades, and also most of us in Indian skin tones prefer a warm undertone to their concealers, right? If you use a concealer which is lighter than your skin tone, then your concealer will start looking grey, and this is what I found out. And as you can see, it has concealed my under eyes very nicely, but I just don't prefer this finish because I would have preferred a darker shade, but वो नहीं मिला मुझे the perfect shade. So this is the Swiss Beauty concealer. If you come under the cool tone categories, if you feel like this is gonna be the perfect shade for your under eyes, definitely go ahead and buy it. But if you have like deep under eyes like I have, and I have a lot of discoloration, that's why I use a darker shade to cancel out the darkness, you might do not want to buy it. The consistency and everything else about this is good, but the shade matching needs to be there. So that was the Swiss Beauty concealer reviewed for you guys. We have the Lakme Absolute White Intense liquid concealer with SPF 25. I do not like the name, first of all. I am telling you, look at the packaging, it's kind of cute, very sleek, you can say. Now I have the shade 03 Golden Sand. The shade range is pretty good. Now it has a doe foot applicator like this, and it's pretty, you can say, good. The packaging is average. It is a little bit yellow, so I like that the undertones are properly maintained over here. Now I cannot find this on Nykaa, I'm not sure. I think they might have rebranded the same thing into 9 to 5 one, the 9 to 5 range. Now very liquidy in consistency. You can go ahead and blend it out. Coverage which this is providing is okayish. I won't say it is a full coverage concealer. You can still see my under eyes, and I can still see that thoda sa coverage ही है, बहुत ज़्यादा coverage भी नहीं हुआ है, but it blended in well. I would give it to them. If you just see closely, it blended in super well. Just look at that, it takes like seconds to blend in, which is great. Now this is a buildable concealer. I applied very little, but if you want more, you can definitely go ahead and apply one more. I think I'm gonna do the same because this is just not too much. Like, just I definitely need more concealer after applying this one. Again, with 2 layers, I feel like this does a better job than just 1 layer of concealer. If you can see, that looks good. I mean, it did color correct a little bit nicely, I would say. I do not like the name of this, but if you want like a very buildable, not too much of a concealing concealer, then the Lakme Absolute one is definitely for you, and I'm in the shade 03 as well. The next concealer which we have is the LA Girl Pro Conceal. This is the packaging of it. Now I am in the shade medium beige, and I'm telling you, I finished one of this and I absolutely love it. The packaging is, I would say, okay, it is a bit flimsy. Now you have to push the product so that the concealer comes in from here, and then you just apply it. Now as I told you, I prefer darker, like warm toned concealers which suit and color corrects my under eyes. This is very orangey, and the consistency of this is very liquidy as well. I'm going to be showing you both the ways. So for the brush, I like just to take it and just dab it like this, and within few seconds you can see it has blended in so beautifully. The consistency is extremely liquidy, so it gets blended in beautifully. You don't have to worry for it to dry out or anything. It does give you a dewy finish, which is amazing. Now I would say it is a buildable concealer and not really a full coverage one. As you can see, like there's still, like, I feel like progress can be made with this, right? So it is perfect for everyday use. And again, I'm telling you, this is the concealer which I use on an everyday basis where I don't feel like wearing a foundation. So this is when I mostly use this, because this is just the perfect undetectable concealer. You won't even feel it under your eyes. And with the beauty blender, as you can see how beautifully it blended in, and as I told you, it has this warm undertone. What is happening over here is that it's cancelling the colors in my under eyes, and with one layer you can see it has done a pretty good job. However, I would go in with a second layer of this just to make sure that if I'm going to an event, if I want the full coverage look, I would go in with layer number 2. So that was the LA Girl Pro Conceal HD Concealer. Okay, so the next concealer which we have is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. I think I've finished like numerous amount of tubes of this. I'm in the shade 25 medium. This is a liquid consistency of concealer, and as you can see from the packaging, I have used so much of this. This is literally getting over. Now I love it for my everyday kind of a concealer. As you can see, it is warm toned and it is very liquidy in consistency. Again, you need very little in from this to just apply. Now this is a buildable concealer. It is not like a full coverage on the first go. So I'm just gonna blend it so you guys can see. The Elegol one which I applied was very thin, and this one is a little bit thicker. But talking about the coverage, it does give you a similar coverage like the Elegol one. So it again took like 5 seconds to blend in. Just look at that. It did conceal my under eyes pretty well, I would say, but you know, this is not the best, which is what I would want. I want something a little bit more to cover my under eyes, so I'm gonna go a little bit more. But it did a great job at color correction. I still feel like I can go a little bit one more shade, maybe deeper in this concealer, but this is such an amazing if you want to go to college, if you want to go to office, you don't want something too heavy under your eyes. This is the perfect one for you. It does not settle into your crease lines or any of that whatsoever. Amazing, like budget friendly concealer, and I feel like it is usually on stock most of the times. So yeah, so that was the Maybelline Fit Me concealer for you. So the next concealer which we have is the Mars Seal the Deal concealer. Now the packaging is very similar to the Elegol Pro concealer, but I know that they have changed the packaging. I do not have that, and also I did not like the packaging of this. I think this one was under ₹300. As you can see, मेरा ये concealer टूट गया है because the packaging was very similar to the Elegol one, and when I was applying it, it just fell off. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to take a palette like this, and then I'm going to just take a little bit of the concealer on a brush and then apply 1-2 dots. Now this one is extremely thicker in consistency, unlike the Elegol one. I feel like a lot of people talked about how Mars kind of duplicated the packaging of the Elegol one, but they have changed it, and I'm going to say that it was the newer packaging is definitely way better. It has a doe foot applicator, and I think it is black in color. So once you just blend it out, as you can see, it does give you a good coverage. This also has a decent range of variations, like the color combinations which you have: warm tone, cool tone, neutral tones. And this is the shade. I don't know why I can't see the shade. Wow, there's no shade written on here, but I think on the newer package definitely there should be a shade name. As you can see, it is a buildable coverage and not a full coverage concealer, and it took fairly a good amount of time to blend. I'm gonna go ahead and take a brush and do the same. I am going to say थोड़ा problem आ सकता है blending में because it is a thicker in consistency. Like you can see, you're gonna need a little bit more effort to blend this in, unlike the extremely liquidy concealers. But yeah, you can definitely build it up. It does give you a good kind of a coverage, perfect for everyday college, office wear, if you want something like, medium in consistency and then go up accordingly. So yeah, it did an average job. I would say I would give it a 7 out of 10. So the next concealer palette which we have is a Mars concealer palette. This is a all-in-one color ranges palette. So I have the shade number 04. Now this retails for 549 rupees. You get these cream blushes as well, and you get the color correctors and concealers and contour shades. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and use, I think, this shade to see how it performs. I'm gonna take a brush. It does feel like very creamy. Now it is a little bit, I would say, thicker in consistency. Take a mirror close to me so I can see what is happening. And okay, yeah, I don't think clearly that is my shade. I might go in with this, but I feel like this is a little bit deeper. So again, if you are a makeup artist, I think this is gonna be amazing. But if you are someone who just wants a one shade concealer, I don't think this is for you. Now it is, I would say, buildable in consistency. I'm getting a little bit irritated by picking up the product because you know it is not liquidy in consistency. I usually prefer liquidy concealers, so it is giving me a hard time with the brush and the beauty blender to apply it. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna take my hand, my fingers, and I'm just gonna do this. So at least you know I know that the product is getting applied, and then after taking a brush I'm gonna just blend it out. So far it is doing a good job. I mean, I would say it is giving a natural finish to my under eyes, as you can see, but I won't say it is like the best, like it's still, I feel like I need a little bit more concealer to cover up my dark circles. And then just applying it like this. I would say that I'm intrigued to try the color corrector because that is going to be very, very exciting. It is, although it is like thicker and creamier in consistency, it is kind of getting blended in beautifully, which I feel like is nice. It's giving a very sheer kind of a look and finish to your under eyes. Now if you prefer liquid concealers, do not even think of buying this one. If you're a makeup artist, if you want to experiment with makeup, and if you want to try all of these shades, color correctors, and if you're under a budget, I definitely feel like this is the one for you. Now as you can see that it has not concealed everything like in a full-fledged manner, in a full coverage way. So this is like a buildable one. So if that is something which interests you, then definitely I feel like, you know, this is for you. I would recommend using it with your fingers because with Beauty Blender it just did not work. I do like this, but I would give it like a 6 on 10 for me. So the next concealer which we have is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. I am in the shade 122 Sand. However, I do feel like it is a little bit lighter on me. Now as you can see from the packaging, I've used this quite a lot. It has a good retractable packaging. I do not like the tip of it, which is over here. I feel like the shade like 130 Caramel would probably suit me better. Now I've finished half of it. Although talking about the shade, I do love this concealer. You just have to twist it like this and then the product comes out, and then you just have to apply it. As you can see, it is a full coverage concealer. It is way higher in coverage than the Maybelline Fit Me concealer which we talked about. Now I like to take a beauty blender and I just like to blend it in. It's getting blended in pretty beautifully. Now since this is not like the optimum darkest shade which I would go for, it did cover up my under eyes pretty well, I would say. You can go ahead and again add a little bit more or even color correct. Now for the purpose of this video, I'm not doing any color correction, but like if you color correct, it will be more, you can say like the results will be more prominent of this concealer. But yeah, it's getting blended in beautifully. It has a liquidy consistency which looks pretty good, you can say. Just adding it over here. I'm not gonna lie, I do not really like the packaging. Like the tip, sponge tip, I feel like that just becomes a little bit unhygienic. But other than that, I love the formula of the concealer. Just look at it. I did take quite a bit more because as you can tell, I love my concealer to be full coverage. So that is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. So the next concealer which we have is the NYX HD Concealer. I am in the shade CW 3.5 over here. Now the consistency of this is extremely liquidy. I'll just swatch it so you can see. I'm not gonna lie, it took me like a few tries to get the shade correctly. Now if you're in the shade medium in Maybelline, then 3.5 CW will look good for you. As you can see, it's a little bit warm toned and I prefer that. Now it is so liquidy. I feel like this is so similar to the K by Katrina one because the consistency of this is freaking similar. Now I'm gonna just take a concealer brush and just blend it in, and as you can see, it gives you this like a not like a matte, and this gives you literally the most hydrating finish to your under eyes. It is not matte. It is not looking like your under eyes have been dried up just for the concealing purpose. It conceals as well as it, you know, it gives like this great effect that, you know, your under eyes are well hydrated, which is amazing. I'm also gonna take a beauty blender and just blend it up and show it to you. One thing I love about this is that, you know, like the inside concealer, what usually happens is that it gets dried up so freaking easily. This does not do that, right? Since the consistency of this is also liquidy and thin, what is happening, it's not like drying up too quickly, which is an amazing thing, right? So if in the first go you can see over here that it has concealed, but it's not full coverage. If you want, you can go ahead and build it up. So if I were you, I would probably, like, if you want more coverage, I would take like 2-3 more dots like this and then blend it up again. And that is the NYX concealer for you. So the next concealer which we have is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. Now this is the matte finish one. I am in the shade medium warm. Now I'm not gonna lie, this is a little bit yellowish for my liking. I prefer like an orange or a peach undertone because this will look brightening. As you can see, it is like straight up yellow. I love the wand, it has a pretty thick wand. And talking about the consistency, it is a thick consistency. It's not runny, but it is liquidy. But again, with that, it is thicker in consistency. Now I like to take a beauty blender and just blend it in like this. As you can see, it does give you a good coverage, and it, I would say, does not give you like the extreme full coverage in the first go. It is a buildable concealer and it does brighten up your under eyes. So if you're looking for a good concealer to brighten up your under eyes, this is the one for you. And again, it does not dry up too quickly like the Insight one which I talked about, which is also amazing. Now simply with this, would I use this just like this? I feel like I am trying to find my shade in this, the perfect shade, but I was not able to. And the closest I could find was this one, the warm medium. But this is, I feel like, too yellow for my liking. If you have a yellowish undertone, this will be the perfect one for you. I would use this concealer again, but I would wear a peach toned concealer first and then highlight it, because right now if you can see, like, this part is like highlighted but my under eyes look grey, which I do not like whatsoever. So that is the only thing which I would recommend. If you are in the yellow undertone category, go ahead and buy this. So that was the e.l.f. 16-hour Camo Concealer. The next concealer which I am so excited about is the NYX Professional Bare With Me Concealer. I love the packaging of this. You can just see how cute it is. If this will focus. Now it comes with a pump packaging. The best way I like to do is like take it into a spatula plate like this. I like to pump very little. Now little goes a very long way. Excuse me, I was just applying my foundation, so it's looking very dirty. Now it is kind of like thin in consistency but also thicker. The consistency of this is quite, you can say, like, it does not have a runny consistency. So I like to go ahead and just do this, and I literally took like one pump, and you can see how much concealer, like, I feel like one pump is like way more than enough. And once you like blend it in, just see how beautifully it blended in. Now this is not a full, like extremely full coverage concealer, as you can see from the difference. It does give you like a good hydrating finish, but like a medium coverage. So if you're looking to get like the full coverage, definitely build it up. I feel like this is amazing to build it up. If you have dry skin, I feel like this is going to be your favorite concealer, because you can see it's not really drying and feels like cakey. Like, my under eyes feel so freaking good, they look so freaking good. And I'm just gonna take it again from the pump, not the pump, like from this, and just blending it in. So this is the second layer, like 2 times how this is how it looks, and you've just applied it 1 time, this is how it looks. Now you can also go ahead with a brush and then just apply it. Now again, if you apply a concealer with a brush, it will look a little bit different. If you apply it with a beauty blender, it will look different. So this is how it looks. I mean, come on, like, I love this. I love the finish of it. I love everything about this concealer. You literally need the smallest amount, and I'm in the shade, what is the shade? I'm in the shade Golden. Yeah, I just found my shade and it is literally perfect. Like, I feel like NYX is doing such a good job at like their base products. I just freaking love it. Look at it. You can literally wear it for functions, you can wear it for everyday uses. Absolutely amazing. You need the littlest amount, and I'm still left with a lot of it over here. So maybe you can just go ahead and apply it, you know, when you have acne marks, which can conceal it as well. So that was the next concealer. The next concealer which we have is the L'Oreal Infallible Concealer. I do not like the shade range of this. I think they have only 3 shades, and I am in the shade 314 beige. Now this is not the perfect, you could say, the orange or the peach toned match. It is a little bit of a brighter shade. Now as you can see, it is quite thick in consistency. Really don't know if you can see. I don't think it's getting picked up in camera, but it is very close to my actual skin color, but I prefer like a little bit orange for the color correction purposes. Now this is very thick in consistency, and this gives you a full, like literally a full coverage finish, and I love it. Like honestly, I do like it. I do not like the fact that it comes in just 3 shades. Like bro, like come on, improve your shade ranges. But you can see how amazingly it has covered my under eyes with literally just one small application. The doe foot applicator is also again very thick, and it covers literally everything. Like I don't have any like acne marks to cover right now, but it does a really good job. And if you're looking for a full coverage concealer, definitely this is the one for you. I usually like to blend this with a beauty blender because this gives like a more natural finish. And that is the L'Oreal Infallible Concealer for you. The next concealer deserves an award. This is the K by Katrina Concealer, Hydrating Concealer in 140Y. Now when this was launched, I mean, of course I was obsessed with it, and then it got discontinued, and guess what, I have already finished 1 bottle of this. This is my second one. You will just see in a second why. Firstly, it is a liquid concealer. I love the doe foot applicator. It's quite thin, and as you can see, it's like a little bit orangish in consistency, like texture, sorry, color. And as you know, I like a little bit of a darker shade of concealer. This literally looks like unreal. Now I'm gonna blend it. It gives you a dewy finish. It took like 5 seconds to blend in, and just bam, look at that. So good. Like it gives you a good enough coverage. I won't say like a sheer coverage, but not also a full coverage. And it looks very subtle, not too full coveragey, not too cakey, very hydrating. So that is the K by Katrina concealer. Now I'll tell you, it also comes in the shade 100Y. What I usually do is like I apply this, and then I go ahead and take the lighter shade and then apply it on top. So if you want a highlighting bit, you can take the shade 100Y, but I feel like if you are in the shade NC30, this shade 145Y will suit you so well. Look at that. Like come on, like this is under my top 3 concealers. I would say like this is my top 2. The top one I'm gonna tell you is coming super soon in this video, but yeah, this comes under top 3. So that is the K by Katrina concealer. So the next concealer is from House of Makeup. This is the packaging of this. Now I'm in the shade M02. Now I have tried this concealer. It is a very thick in consistency. The wand of this is quite thick, as you can see. Now what I like to do is just take a little, and as you can see, it's like full coverage, right? So I'm just gonna apply 1 small dot and then keep it, and I'm just blending it in. It took like 5 seconds to blend in. It gives you the best full coverage. Oh my god, look at that. How cool is this? I feel like this is gonna be one of my favorite concealers. Very underrated, because just look at it. Like my under eyes are like concealed and also highlighted at the same time, and I've not applied a color corrector. In none of the concealers I applied a color corrector, because I want to show you how it actually looks on my under eyes. Now if you want a day-to-day one which is like hydrating but like medium coverage, I don't feel like this is the one for you, because this does give you quite a good amount of coverage. So yeah, I mean, maybe you can use a little bit so that it does not give you the full glam effect like it is giving it to me right now. Once when I like tried this concealer actually for the first time, I was blown away and I was like, why haven't I used this before? Because it looks phenomenal. The best part about this is that it is under rupees 799. I think it is for 699 rupees, and this acts like a 3000 4000 rupees concealer, which is absolutely insane. So this is the House of Makeup concealer in shade MN02. I know, sorry for changing the last 4 concealers setup a little bit. This is my new setup, but let's go on to the next concealer, which is the NARS concealer. This is in the shade Biscuit. I have the mini version of it. As you can see, I bought it for 900 rupees from the US. Trust me, this is the best purchase I've had. Now, as I told you, I like the concealer shades which are a little bit darker than my skin tone, and this is like orangey, so it acts as a color corrector as well. The consistency of this is very like thin. I won't say it's runny, it's quite thick but yet thin as well. Right now I'm just gonna blend this side with the brush, and you'll just see in a second how flawless this looks. Like the first time I tried this, I was like, why haven't I bought a full size version of this? Like, just look at it, it is so flawless. It's like removes your under eye bags, like it's like you don't even have them and you have like slept for hours, is basically what this is. And it's perfect, it does not feel anything on my like face. Amazing, love it, obsessed with this concealer. It is a buildable coverage, I would say, not a full coverage in the first go. So as you can see, it looks stunning. Now you can go ahead and apply another layer, but I usually go in with one. Let's try a beauty blender to blend this in quickly, and as you can see, it like I'm talking and in 5 seconds it's gone, it's concealed. So look at that, how flawless it is, right? And you like need just the tiniest amount for your under eyes, and it concealed everything perfectly. Just for the sake of this video, I'll add layer number 2. Now I usually don't like to apply a lot, like maybe a little goes a very long way with this one. So I'm just gonna blend it, and as you'll see, it's not caking or creasing, it's phenomenal, which is something I absolutely love. And I feel like you get the mini over here in India for around 1200 rupees, which I feel like if you want to invest into a good quality concealer, then definitely this is the one for you. So that was the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. So the next concealer which we have is the Smashbox Halo Glow Healthy Glow Concealer. This is a pen concealer, as you can see. Now this has a pen type of packaging. You have to like twist this and the product will come out. Let me find a mirror, and you just have to apply it like this. Again, I took a darker shade in this because it cancels out and corrects everything. A great thing is that it comes with a softer tip, so the product gets evenly applied. And I'm in the shade M10N. If you see the consistency of this, you'll see it is blending out beautifully. It's liquidy in consistency, and it is not a full coverage concealer. It is a medium coverage concealer, perfect for everyday use, but it also does not feel cakey at all. Like, look how natural finish does this concealer give, like wow. And I did not even apply too much of it. I'm gonna use a beauty blender for this side. Again, you'll see it looks super gorgeous. Look at that. I feel like this is one of the concealers which is very similar to the K one, but I feel like this is a little bit liquidy and it feels like nothing on your skin. As you can see, it's like medium in coverage, not too full coverage. If you want, you can build it up by adding one more layer. So that was the Smashbox Halo Concealer for you. So the next concealer which we have is the Bobbi Brown Concealer. This is the Skin Full Cover Concealer. This is the packaging of it. Now I got this from my friend as a gift. Now this is the shade Natural. So as you can see, the doe foot applicator of this is very unique. It is quite different than any other applicators which you might have seen. So what I do is just apply a little bit, and it is a little bit brighter than my original like skin tone. It's not color correcting, but it gives like a brightening effect. I'm just gonna take a beauty blender. It blends in beautifully. It's very lightweight. It does say that it is a full cover concealer, but I wouldn't say so. Like, it is definitely buildable. It's not full cover in the first go. However, this does a great job at concealing your under eyes. It is a little bit pricey, I would say, blending it in using this side. And as you can see, there's no like what can you say, like hassle. Like, you can blend it in both ways and it looks gorgeous. Look at that. So again, I would say if you don't prefer like a lighter coverage, then you can build it up. However, if you want something to invest into where you can just it does not even feel anything on your skin, I think this concealer is the one for you. So that is the Bobbi Brown Skin Full Cover Concealer. Hi you guys, so the next concealer which we have is from Rare Beauty. Now I'm in the shade 280N. I do feel like it is a little bit brighter, like the concealer is a little bit brighter than the foundation. My shade in the foundation is also 280. So, but this is how it looks. It has a applicator which is a little bit slant. Again, a really good applicator. It's quite thick in consistency, not a liquidy concealer. It is, again, as I would describe this, it is not full coverage, it is medium coverage, but it gives you a very hydrated under eye finish. So as you can see, as I'm blending it in, look at that. It color corrected and covered all my under eyes so effortlessly. Look at that. Wow. I love it. Let's take a brush. I'm gonna use a brush. I'm just gonna, as you can see, it's blending in super beautifully, which is amazing. But I would say that it is a little bit expensive, so you need to, like, if you really have the budget, then go for it. Because I feel like I love this concealer, but it's not like, oh my god, I need this in my life, I cannot live without it. The foundation does that for me. Like, it's like I cannot live without the foundation, so I have like what, two of those. So that's why. So as you can see, it gives you very minimal coverage. So I am going in with one more layer because I want a little bit more of a fuller coverage with this concealer. And it blends in beautifully. It does not move your foundation, does not crease up or cake up or anything, no matter how many layers you apply. And I love the fact that there are multiple shades, which is so amazing that Rare Beauty has done that. Very natural, subtle looking concealer which does not feel heavy on your skin at all. So that was the Rare Beauty concealer. Okay, let's apply the last concealer, which also is the best concealer I would say in this series. So this is the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. I have two of these. Don't ask me why, because I just love it so much. This is how it looks. I love the thick packaging of it, and I am in the shade Warm Beige. It is so freaking good, you guys. Like, it is a little bit darker in the shade. If you just see, as I told you like a million times probably at this point, that I love concealers which are color correcting, and it is a full coverage concealer. A little goes a really long way. You do not even have to go ahead and dunk it in. See, and you'll just see in a minute. When I tell you I use this concealer like on a religious basis, I mean it. Like, I have one in my house and one in my studio. That's how much I love it. And this is my number one concealer because just look at it. It is just so flawless, blends in beautifully like a dream. It's like nothing, like nothing on your skin. If I would recommend you, if you have the budget, if you want to buy a really good concealer, if you are a person who wears concealers on an everyday basis, literally just buy this. Do not even buy anything else. Maybe you can buy the K by Katrina one, that is also really good. But if you want a full coverage concealer which is not cakey, which is not like problematic, this is the one. I feel like, oh my god, I am like, every time I use this concealer, I'm like, this is the best thing. And sometimes I even just use this by myself because it just looks so freaking good. Just look at it. Look at it, you guys. I love it. So this is how it looks when you apply it like once. Now if you want, you can go ahead and build it up. Usually I don't mind this because it does give you a great finish, and with beauty blender and a brush as well, it does give you a very, very amazing finish. I think like I'm obsessed with this, so I'm gonna give this like a 10 on 10. Mine is the shade warm beige. In the foundation, I do kind of like go a little bit upar niche. I'm using golden beige, but I still feel like that is a little bit orange for me, but the warm beige is like spot on shade for me. So yeah, so those were the 20 concealers which I have tried. This video I've been making it for, I feel like, a month now, but I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you gained some information from it, which concealer to buy, which one should you not buy, and which is perfect for your skin type. So let me know in the comments which one are you excited to buy. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.